Welcome back to Painting Lines. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can see I have an autograph on my hat. That is your one and only Jim Courier, who I saw at the US Open Saturday when I went with my family. So just wanted to shout that out. But the US Open has just come to a close, which means that we are officially at the end of Slam season. And Aiden, let me ask you this. Was it like an abnormally grueling summer? I feel like there were a lot of injuries, a lot of like walkovers, fatigue, cramping, or was it just me?
I mean, you'd think that last summer would be more fatiguing, right? Given the fact they had the Olympics as well. But I guess it was tough with just the heat. But I don't know why it would be any more abnormally grueling than any previous year.
Yeah, I feel like we're just at that point in the season where all the players are just exhausted, maxed out. So they're probably going to take some time off. And we got the Asian swing coming up actually this month. So I'm curious to see how many players are going to take off, the next couple weeks or even a month, and how many players are going to actually go all the way to Asia and play.
Yeah, I mean, I think they'll probably get out there for like the obviously ATP in Shanghai, the Masters event. But I do wonder if there's an element of like when you are playing in all these big tournaments and you're a decently high level player, do you ever get like a inevitability feeling of like, yeah, I could play in this tournament, but like I'm not fully healthy and there's no chance I beat Sinner or Alcaraz at like 60%. So you're like, I'm not even going to play in this tournament.
Yeah, well, at that point, I don't think you're playing to win the tournament. You're probably just playing to collect a paycheck at that point and like maybe win a round.
Like Draper,
Right? Like
maybe?
it's your job. You kind of instead of calling in sick, you got to show up. You got to punch the time card. Even
I
tennis
guess.
players have to,
Yeah.
but it's tough. So this episode today, we're gonna, get into the Sinner Alcaraz rivalry, however you want to call it. We're gonna touch on FAA's magical run at the US Open. We'll talk the future of Djokovic and a couple other things. And as always, the best way to show your support for the show is to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. All right, Aiden, let me get your overall thoughts of the tournament. Like, what'd you think? Good tournament, bad tournament? Maybe some surprises, or what'd you like to see here?
I mean, it definitely was pretty crazy. I think there were a lot of relatively early upsets. We saw a lot of lower ranked players making big runs. Obviously, someone like FAA having sort of a resurgent tournament. And then obviously on the other side, Djokovic just displaying that consistency, makes his fourth semifinal in a slam this year. Just insane that that's like a bad season for him. I keep harping on that, but it's really wild that he was able to do that at 38. Positive and negative there, but then getting the final everybody was hoping for. I mean, you saw when they showed that crowd at the US Open, it was like every single shot was of some celebrity, and then even the featured celebrity would have like three other celebrities sitting next to them. So definitely a lot of eyes on the sport for a match like this. So in that sense, I think it was a great tournament.
Yeah, well said. It only makes sense that the US Open is the last slam of the year, right? Like it is the most kind of like star-studded, as you said, and just kind of like the biggest ordeal.
Yeah, I mean, I think people like Wimbledon a lot, and it's a definitely an exciting one. But when you talk about just celebrity presence, U.S. Open definitely takes the cake.
Definitely. So let's get into the final. Let's start with the Sinner Alcaraz background. So this is the first time that these players or players in general have met in three consecutive Grand Slams in a single calendar year. And there was a lot at stake at this match too. The winner would be the number 1 ranked player of the year. So just kind of I don't know if there was a lot of pressure going in. Obviously, there's the slam aspect. There was the fact that Sinner had won 2 Grand Slams this year. Alcaraz had won one, so this would level it up, or Sinner would go get the advantage of the year for Slam. So a lot at stake in this final.
Yeah, and it also would have been. I think that would have made them tied for slams, right? 5-5.
Oh,
Um,
yes, yes.
yeah, but I think to me, taking the number 1 ranking, obviously, it is a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, like, both of these guys have been number 1 before. I don't think that is necessarily the biggest part, but I do think it really makes a point in terms of where we're at in 2025 for the ranking, because obviously if Sinner wins it, he gets a massive step up. And to me, Alcaraz basically clinches the year-end ranking with that U.S. Open win. But I do have the question after seeing this match again. Obviously, so far their matches have been great. It's really exciting to see these guys play. But with how separated they are from like everyone else, I'm just wondering, like, do you think it's ever going to start to get stale where we're just going to keep seeing these two guys in every single big final, and then we're going to be like, ah, I wish someone else would be in there?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think we will, but it's not at that point yet. Like, I think I can go another year or so of this, but I do want to see a third guy challenge them.
Yeah,
It just makes it
exactly.
more interesting.
100%. Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's like it's not stale yet for sure. Like they've only
Hmm.
played in three Grand Slam finals, and they've all been really exciting matches to watch. There's been a lot of hype around them. But yeah, I think that's why with the big four, in this case, it really is the big four, because the big three were the ones that won the majority of them. But you did get the matches with Murray coming in and being competitive and making a final, so that it was at least a different matchup than just being Federer Nadal all the time, or Federer Djokovic all the time, or Nadal Djokovic.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So, how about the final though? What'd you think of it? Because I would say the last two times they met, obviously this final and then Cincinnati final, were kind of not as great. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I feel like Cincinnati, you can't even really talk as a matchup, right? Like Sinner
No,
was
but
just not even playing.
right, there was a lot of hype for it. It was like, built up for nothing. And then this was obviously good hype too, but I just don't think Sinner delivered on like how good he's normally.
Yeah, it was kind of strange to watch because Sinner was dominating. Like you look at him versus Bublik earlier in the tournament, and he just absolutely clobbered him, looked like he wasn't even human. And then he came into this match, and yes, I do agree that Alcaraz played very well, but Sinner just looked off. Like he would set up a point very well. I think his strategy was actually very good in the match. He would get an approach shot, he would come to the net, and he would like push an approach shot long, or he would just miss an easy shot at the net. And you're like, this doesn't feel like normally what we see from Sinner. And while Alcaraz was playing well, it did feel as though, honestly, I was talking with someone early on in the match, and they said, "Oh, who do you think's going to win right now?" And I was saying, Sinner is playing pretty well. He's just not executing. Like he's setting it up and just missing the shots, which isn't something we usually see from him. But I feel like that was my overall takeaway, that Alcaraz played good enough considering that Sinner wasn't playing excellent.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I know we even talked about it. You were saying that Sinner was looking a little shaky, and I thought it was just nerves coming out because he was broken right out the gate. And I feel like that he just needed to get out of the way. It's like, all right, basically chalk up the first set. But as the match went on, I feel like watching these two players, there was no just simply hitting the ball back and forth. Like they were pouncing on every opportunity that they could have. Like there was zero chance that anyone was gonna let just an easy rally ball go. Like they were trying to hit winners, and it was just exciting to watch overall.
Yeah, I mean, but speaking on that early break, that was a strategy that Alcaraz was employing too. I mean, he won the toss uh, against Djokovic and against Sinner and chose to receive. I think just so that he could try and get in his opponent's head immediately with like, I'm your serve's not going to be safe all day, and just make that point.
Yeah, well, speaking of serves, Sinner's first serve was awful. I feel like he was probably around 50%, and Alcaraz was just all over that second serve. It's kind of hard to not get broken when you're just hitting second serves all day, and Alcaraz is a great returner.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's an important kind of statistic to note in this match, was how bad his serve was. Because remember, a couple years ago when we were talking about, oh, Sinner made a massive step up, what did he change? It was the serve that we talked about. Oh, he made this adjustment to his serve, and now he's an excellent, like the best player in the world. When his serve is off, he kind of regresses a little bit.
Hmm. Well, I know he was injured against FAA. I think he had like a little shoulder impingement, and I was actually doing some research, and his average serve against FAA was I think like 110 miles an hour. But going into the final, the first set, he was serving like 124. So maybe he was trying to like overcompensate for it, but I think he did have a little bit of an injury.
Well, there's a couple things here. I think that one, he he did look like he was overhitting, and that's kind of what
Hmm.
I was talking about earlier. Like he was overhitting a lot of shots, and his serve was probably one of them. On the other hand, is it is every time Sinner loses, he's injured? Like I feel like that's like every single time we talk about him losing a match, it's like, oh well, he was injured. Either he's the most injury prone guy I've ever seen, like he gets injured every single tournament, or he that just becomes an excuse at some point.
Yeah, he's always just shaking out his arm,
Yeah,
Whenever
something
he
like
whenever he
that.
mishits it, he's like, yeah, no, just rub the shoulder a little bit.
I mean, like I like going back to that Dimitrov match. Like he
Mm,
was injured, he was about to lose to Dimitrov, and then he came out the next match and looked perfectly healthy.
yeah, he's an enigma. But this was a short match, under 3 hours, which I was when I got to the place I was gonna watch, I was getting ready for like a 4 or 5 hour match, like settled in. I was kind of disappointed. I wanted to hang out longer. What
Yeah, no,
about
I
you?
mean,
Were you just wanting to get on with your day? Like, all right, sweet, under 3 hours,
yeah, I mean,
watch some
here's the thing
football.
about it was like it was a 2 hour match at like three sets already being done,
Hmm.
right? Like usually if a match is going back and forth, it's kind of each set starts getting drawn out and they're each set's pretty long. This was almost like who was it? Medvedev and uh someone last year, right? That like Medvedev and Sinner maybe last year, where like Sinner won the first set like 6-1, and then Medvedev came out the next set and won 6-1 or something like that.
Yes, yes, the quarters last year.
Yeah. And so it was kind of like that, where it was the first set, it seemed like it was all Alcaraz, and then all of a sudden Sinner was on top, and then it was Alcaraz, and you're like, what's going on here? Like these guys are just locking in for such brief periods, and that's what made it so quick.
Yeah, what was crazy was the betting markets had Sinner as a pretty overwhelming favorite. I think he was minus 130 before the match, Alcaraz plus 110. And it was just severely wrong. Like I think leading up to it, like I had a feeling that Alcaraz was going to be the better player. Like just the fact that he hadn't dropped a single set the whole tournament.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
And
is that like severely overrating it? Like 130 is not the biggest favorite I've seen.
I think in this case, they both should have been minus 110.
You think it should have been just a pure toss
I
up?
think, yeah, I do. And well, I mean, you got to, I guess I take that back. You got to give Sinner the hard court premium because he was like 27 and 0 in the last like hard court slams, whatever. So I think going into it, people were just favoring Sinner because of the hard courts, which begs the question. Now, Alcaraz kind of beat him on his home surface. You should not home surface, but his best surface. So do you think that it is a surface dependent matchup anymore, or no, it's basically a toss up?
I feel like it's not surface dependent. Both guys are very good on all surfaces, so
Yeah.
it feels more like just a on that day matchup. Yeah, and going back to the betting thing, I feel like yeah, even if it started as a toss up, right, there were probably a lot of people betting on Sinner because of like what you just mentioned. That probably shifted it.
Yeah, my betting strategy was horrible. So I locked in the Alcaraz plus 110 before the match. After the first set, cashed it out for like a 50% return. Bet on Sinner at plus like 130. And then after he won the second set, I was like, oh, should I cash it out? No, I'm gonna let this one ride, and then just lost it.
Damn.
Yeah, I was disappointed
Feels bad
because I
because I
had the
remember
right
you.
idea. I
Yeah,
had
you
the right
told me. You
idea.
told me you had Alcaraz. I was like, oh, nice.
I know, but I cashed it out. I know. So the
Feels bad.
initial thought was right. But
Yeah,
anyway, let's get into FAA because this is a semifinal run, in my opinion, out of nowhere. Like he beat some good guys too. He had a good run. He played Zverev, Rublev, Deminar, and then Sinner he got a set off of. So pretty pretty impressive, unlike his 2024 Madrid final run where he got three walkovers. Like
yeah,
it's very different.
yeah. I mean, definitely. This one was earned. I'll say that. Like
Hmm.
the Madrid one, you're kind of like this was just luck, and this one he not only won all the matches, right, but he played tough opponents. And yeah, I just feel like you got to respect it. I don't think it was completely out of nowhere, just given the fact that he played decently in Cincinnati. So it wasn't like he was coming off a first round loss, but
Hmm.
still, like you said, nobody had him in the semis.
Yeah, no, definitely. But we got to ask the question. It is a tennis podcast. This guy, he peaked in 2022. He was, I think top 8 in the world.
Yeah, he played in
Unfortunately,
Turin or in the year
yes.
end finals.
Yeah, I think he might have made it up to number 6, but don't quote me on that. Anyway, had a couple injuries, setback, pretty fell off pretty hard. I think he's his worst. He was like in the 40s, ranked in the 40s. Just kind of had a tough couple years, but is he back? That's what I want to know. Like we saw glimmers of hope for FAA. Like for example, that 2024 Madrid final, even though it wasn't exactly earned, it was just kind of like, oh wow, he's back in the spotlight. He just got a bunch of ranking points.
Yeah, like he would show up and you're like, "Oh, it's FAA. Is he back?" And
Hmm.
then inevitably you look at it a couple months later and be like, "I guess not." But I kind of want to objectively look at his 2025 so far because it has been very interesting. Because he started off the year super hot. He won 2 tournaments in January, Adelaide and Montpellier. And then he made the semis in Doha, a final in Dubai. So like he had a lot of promise. I remember earlier this year I was talking about it. I was like, he's like in the top 10 guys for 2025 so far. I think he was even like top 5 at one point. But then you look at his next run, and over his next 23 matches, he had 10 wins. So he's 10 and 13 and had 7 first round exits from Indian Wells all the way until Canada. Then, like I said, in Cincinnati, he had a decent run, ended up losing to Sinner. And then here has an incredible run, ends up losing to Sinner again, unfortunately. But he's at a very high peak this year. It's just that complete lack of consistency that completely takes away from all of these big positives. It's so hard to uh, look at a player's mountaintops when their valleys are so low.
Right. No, and that's a good point. I think FAA, to go back to our conversation earlier about the slam season ending and the Asian swing starting up, I think this is a guy who benefits from playing in Asia because he does primarily well in indoor hard. And I feel like he can capitalize on tournaments where some of the bigger guys aren't going to be in, and he can, win a few rounds, maybe even a title here. And then also, he's hot right now. So I feel like he has to keep the momentum going. I don't think he should take any breaks.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to get into that a little bit later, but yeah, it feels like he's in a great spot right now. Has so
Hmm.
much momentum after this tournament, going to Asia where they're playing indoor hard courts, and then like that European swing as well, like the Basel, like Swiss indoors and tournaments like that. Where he remember in 2022 he won all 3 of those back to back, and I think he's won another one, maybe the next in 2023 as well. But yeah, he's I think in a pretty good spot in terms of his momentum going into the end of the year.
Yeah, overall bullish on FAA. Let's go. All right, let's talk about Djokovic now. So I saw a very interesting quote on the tennis podcast, and it was basically that Djokovic's career has come full circle because when he came up, he was that third guy, the third best, fighting Rafa and Roger. He finally overtook them, was dominant, the number one, clear number one. Now he's back to that third best position where he just can't seem to beat Alcaraz and Sinner.
Yeah, it's definitely some sort of a dramatic irony there.
Yeah, and just like because he is 38 years old, I just want to know like is this enough to motivate him? Is being the third best in the world enough to motivate someone to get out of bed at 38 and play tennis? I mean, to him, I feel like he can still play. He can obviously still play, but if he's not winning slam titles, is it worth it for him? And I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it is tough to convince yourself to get up there when really all that's motivating him is getting a 25th slam, and he doesn't
Hmm.
really care about being the highest ranked guy anymore. I feel like it's just all about the slams, and I think maybe he's hoping he gets lucky and Alcaraz or Sinner loses early on and he can win one. But I just like to think about the fact that like how many slams would he have won if Alcaraz and Sinner weren't in the equation? Because arguably he would have won like 6 more slams. There
That's
have been 6
crazy to
slams of
think
the
about
last
that.
couple of
Yeah.
years where he's been knocked out super late in the tournament by one of these guys. And that's a crazy stat to think about, given the fact that he's already won 24. But could he have won 30? To me, it's an interesting thought experiment, but also kind of makes a commentary on the strength of this era. Because I
Mhm.
get it, like Djokovic is the greatest of all time, right? But the fact that he's still the third best player at 38 years old doesn't give me a ton of confidence about like the playing level outside these top two guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. I saw a tweet actually that was saying like, what does that say about American tennis where our best player, our top player is losing to a 38-year-old? Like, you know what I mean? It's just kind of it's embarrassing almost. Like that whole generation of players is just like they cannot escape Djokovic. And it's almost like I thought for sure we were out of that transition period where the big three era is over. Now it's the era of Sinner Alcaraz, which it is, but I feel like the rest of the tour is still in that transitional phase where they just can't seem to shake Djokovic.
Well, it's kind of funny. It's almost like we're still in the big three era. It's just like
Yeah.
now it's Sinner, Alcaraz, Djokovic, and
Yeah.
he's the third one. But he's more like, I hate to do this to Murray, but he's kind of like the Murray of the group. Like he's always late in the tournament, but he's never winning it.
Yeah, he is like the Murray. I feel like that's just karma for beating Murray in all those Australian Open finals.
Exactly. Murray's just like, ha ha. I know I
Yeah.
was your coach, but it kind of feels good to watch you lose.
Yeah, I know. Hey, maybe you should bring him back on.
Yeah.
All right, enough about Djokovic. Only the future will tell. Let's get into the Americans, the headlining Americans, because there are obviously a lot more that we could mention, but I want to stick with the top four here. Let's start with Fritz. He once again has the best result out of all the Americans, makes it to the quarters. In my opinion, he maxes out his result because he came up against Djokovic and unfortunately couldn't get it done. I don't know if he could have, but
Yeah. I mean, I got to take some credit. I did put the prediction out there. I wasn't super confident in it after I'd made it, but ended up being right. I honestly think it's a letdown for him, right? Because it just, like you were saying, it proves that Djokovic is still the best of the rest. And it's not a good look when you're supposed to be in your prime and this guy, this 38, is still beating you.
Yeah, it was funny. You said it on the pod very confidently, and then after you're kind of like walking it back, like, "Oh wait, what? I never said that." I'm
I
like,
was like, did I say
here is
that?
the footage and the
Yeah.
reel."
I was like, I did say that. Damn.
Yeah, you said verbatim like last year's U.S. Open finalist will be ousted by a 38-year-old,
Yeah. And I was right,
and that
dude.
was
I
right.
was
Yeah,
right.
so credit there. All right, Tommy Paul. I think he just came up against a tough draw, like with Bublik, because Bublik's pretty hot this summer. He's been playing well, and I think Tommy was injured, so I wasn't expecting a whole lot from him.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly think he would have got it done if he'd been able to close out that like match before earlier. Obviously, he had match points against Borges, and instead he goes 5 sets late into the night, and then comes out and plays another 5 setter against Bublik. So it's
Yeah.
like it kind of shows how important closing out matches quickly becomes in a tournament like this because your body just can't maintain for 5 set match after 5 set match.
Yeah, he just couldn't break Bublik's serve either. And I will take a little bit of credit because this was your bet of the week. And we were just kind of saying like Bublik could come out there and just play out of his mind, or he can come out there and like not really give a shit. And then I didn't sound too confident in Tommy Paul, and sure enough, he didn't get it done.
Yeah, I mean, I understand
Yeah.
why you weren't confident in him.
Yeah. All right. How about Ben Shelton? I think Ben Shelton, for me at least, had the highest hopes going into the tournament. I thought, I had that glimmer of hope where, hey, maybe this is the year where an American wins the US Open. Just tough with the injury, man. Seeing him lose to Manarino in tears, like because of that injury, is just sad and unfortunate, I think, because I truly do think he was our best opportunity as Americans of winning a slam.
Yeah, I mean, you look at he obviously just won Canada. That's massive for him, and then comes in here and just clearly tried to gut out that match against Manarino, but he couldn't do it. I think he may have even pushed it a little harder because he was like, "It's Manarino, I can beat him," but ended up retiring after that 4th set. And I just hope that he recovers well and can play later on this year.
I know, me too, me too. And I just love his coaching relationship with his dad because it is the polar opposite between someone like Tsitsipas and his dad. Like Brian Shelton and him have such good chemistry. Brian Shelton was a pro tennis player too that had a pretty successful career, whereas Tsitsipas's dad didn't even play professional tennis.
Yeah. And you know what actually is interesting? I wonder how much like him being a college tennis coach actually helped him in terms of learning how to coach, right? Because when you're a coach for a tennis team, every single player you coach has a different personality you have to learn how to
Hmm.
deal with and how to try and get the best out of that player. And then you can kind of tailor it to obviously your son and be like, okay, I know this about him, so I need to motivate him this way. I need to motivate him this way. I need to encourage him in this moment. I need to be harder on him in this moment. Whereas when you're just coming from oh, you never were that great tennis player, you never coached at a high level, and you're just the coach of
Yeah.
Tsitsipas now,
Yeah.
like his dad knows how to push him in one way, but I don't know if that's helpful after a certain point.
No, I agree. And you want to hear something awesome? So I heard Brian Shelton say he hasn't even given, or that he's only given Ben Shelton like 10% of his knowledge because he's not ready for it yet. Like he's doing it incrementally.
That's sick. That's a sick
Yeah,
thing
that
to
is
say.
sick. That is sick.
He's
All
like,
right.
when he's ready, I'll bestow
Yeah.
upon him the rest of my knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. All right, lastly, let's talk about Tiafo. I don't really know what to say here. Like I feel like there was hype because he always performs well at the US Open, but this year kind of a letdown losing to Struff. Like I know Struff had a good run, but I don't really know what to say here.
Yeah, I feel like it was just a major disappointment. I know you even showed me that poster that went up in like week 2 of
Week two,
Tiafo,
yep.
and it was like, yeah, they really thought he was going to be out here in the quarters of the semis, and he just left early. But it's just a bummer for him. I know like he peaked in the top 10 a couple years ago or last year, whenever it was, and now he's just not really a threat. It feels like at any of these tournaments.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but yeah, like you said, Yannick's waited till week two to drop their sick Subway ad, which he wasn't even in the tournament at that point.
Yeah, they're like, who is this guy?
Yeah. All right. In other news, we got Leandro Righty, the Swiss. He became the lowest ranked player to reach a fourth round of a Grand Slam at number 435.
Not going to be 435 for long.
Yeah. And then Coleman Wong, he becomes the first man from Hong Kong to win a main singles draw at a Grand Slam. So two big achievements.
Yeah, big achievements, but it also kind of to me says like, does this bolster that weak era argument, right? Like if the guys ranked this low can come out here and win matches and make the fourth round, what does that say about like the guys that are supposed to be in the top 100?
Yeah, dudes from Hong Kong would not be winning any Grand Slam main draws with the big three around.
Yeah, I mean maybe they would, maybe I'm wrong, but it just feels like it's a
No, I think
negative.
I think it is a weaker era tennis for sure. I think there's just that lost generation, like those guys who were supposed to be the next big threes, Zverev, Medvedev, Tsitsipas, like just kind of faded out, and it just kind
100%.
of just yeah. But anyway, also the U.S. President Donald Trump was at the U.S. Open final, and Aiden, I got a little trivia question for you. So, when was the last time, or I'll give you this: who was the last president that went to the U.S. Open before Donald Trump?
I don't know, like Reagan.
No, 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 no. It was Bill Clinton in 2000.
Okay, so later.
Yeah,
Okay,
later. But
yeah.
seriously, I feel like 25 years is too long for a president to not go to the US Open final.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like not all presidents are into the sports scene or showing up to the events.
Yes, yes, that is true. And then lastly, for other news, the winner got $5 million this year. So Sabalenka and Alcaraz, 5 mil apiece. This is up from 39% from last year.
That's pretty wild. I feel like it's a massive boost, but it also kind of makes sense because it does feel like the sport is growing in popularity. Like you look at the U.S. Open attendance year over year, and prices of tickets go up every single year. It feels like there's more. It's more and more packed. So it does make sense in that sense.
Yeah, that is insane. I feel like like I don't know if that should be more evenly distributed throughout the players. Like I don't want to sound like a communist here, but I
Yeah, well,
mean
no, no. I
that purse
actually,
is insane.
someone made a good point in one of our comments, which was you look at like the comparison of the attendance
Hmm.
in on like the for the final versus on other days, right? It's like, yes, there's more matches going on in round one, but people are paying how much for a ticket to the final,
True.
right? It's like
Yeah.
it's like $1,000 a ticket. How many seats are there in Arthur Ashe Stadium? And that's the
23,000.
cheapest ticket is
Yeah.
$1,000 or something like that.
Yeah. And
So
that's for the nosebleeds too.
that's what I'm saying. Yeah. So it's like it doesn't even compare to like the first round when it's like $60 or something.
Yeah. That's a good, no, dude, not $60 anymore. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's like 200 for
Jesus
a grounds
Christ.
pass. I know. I know. And the Honeydeuce has actually stayed the same price though. That I
Yeah, no,
was,
no inflation on that. They're like,
yeah.
no, no, no. Hey guys, you're getting a bargain. It's only $40.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely an expensive experience now. But anyway, you ready to hop into segments now?
Yep. Let's do it. Hey guys, before we jump in, we have some exciting news. We recently partnered with TruePro. They're a great place to buy strings, grips, and tennis apparel. Use discount code Painting Lines, that's one word, for 20% off store wide. You can find the link in our bio.
Alrighty, what's new in tennis? What did you see this week?
I saw something pretty sad this week, actually. Medvedev splits up with his coach, Gilles Servara, after 8 to 10 years. And I'm saying 8 to 10 years because that's what Medvedev had in his Instagram breakup message, which I thought was pretty funny. So, just to paraphrase, he said 20 titles, world number one, but most importantly, a lot of fun moments and memories together. So, that was just bittersweet because I feel like while Medvedev has been struggling and hasn't been putting up his best results, I feel like Shields has been kind of a staple in the Medvedev box. Like he's probably one of the longest tenured coaches out of all the players coaches right now. And I don't know if Giles has had other players that he's coached because I feel like he's really been committed to Medvedev. So I'm just curious to see like what's in store next for him, for both of them, quite honestly. Because this was clearly a situation where Medvedev could have maybe brought on another coach to join the team, kind of like what Rublev did with Safin and kept his coach that developed him, that trained him for, the past decade. But Medvedev just split cold turkey.
Yeah, I mean, I think I understand obviously why he did it. He's only going down. He hasn't had any real flashes of the old Medvedev, it feels like. So I think the coach probably gets it too. And I think it's not obviously anything personal. It's just he's looking for a new coach to bring on. He doesn't need to pay the old coach for to just sit in his box as like a
Hmm.
security blanket.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's this will be interesting. Hopefully there's like a new spark with Medvedev with the new
Yeah,
coach.
I mean, I think that's what he's hoping for
I
sure.
know. Maybe Andy Murray. Who knows?
Right.
Yeah, he's too busy on the golf course.
Yeah, exactly. Trying to break 70.
Yeah. All right. What about you? What did you see this week?
I want to just give a little race to Turin update. So, first of all, Alcaraz, in my opinion, pretty much has the number one ranking for the year locked in, unless he like misses a bunch of tourneys like later on, because he leads by over 2,500 points, which in perspective, that would be like Sinner winning a Masters 1000 and the ATP Finals, and Alcaraz not playing in either.
Oof.
So that's one aspect of this. Djokovic is in third, which is also crazy given the fact that he's only played in a few tournaments, it feels like this year. And obviously, based on these performances in the slams, I think he's actually tied with Zverev, but he is in third on the list. And I think the reason is because he is played so few tournaments.
Yeah, better slam results.
Exactly, exactly. Yeah, better probably average result would be maybe the tiebreaker. I don't know. Then you have Shelton leading the Americans. He's number five. Fritz is number six. So another interesting point there. But I think another aspect of this that is really interesting is 7 to 10 are within 440 points. So like it's really up for grabs at the back of those kind of contenders. And so it goes Deminar, Musetti, Draper, and then FAA. And like we were talking about earlier, it feels like FAA is really in a good spot given the fact that we're headed to that indoor season where he usually thrives and obviously has all this momentum from the US Open. It also brings up the question like, is Draper healthy? Will Musetti fade given the fact that we're on hard court instead of clay? And then with Deminar, like, can he hold on? Is he going to make the year end finals for the second time, or is he going to fade like I feel like he has in the past a little bit?
Yeah, this is interesting. I think the last time we brought up the race to turn, Rude was in the conversation, right? So
Yeah.
that's not the case anymore, clearly.
I mean, not really. Like I look at the guys outside like the top 10 and it's like you start falling off by like kind of big margins. Like I think it's 440 for those four spots and then like the next one is like 400 behind that.
Hmm. Yeah, I think out of all these guys, Demon probably has the best chance just because of his consistency. Like he doesn't need to win titles, but he can make solid runs for the rest of the year
Yeah, I
and
mean,
squeak
I
in.
think a he has the like pole position, like he's number 7 right now, so he
Hmm.
already has the most points. And like you said, he kind of just has to hold on and do like decent in these tournaments to stay in that spot.
Yeah, and also last time Musetti, when you mentioned him, I said he was going to fade out because of the hardcourt season, but he looked pretty solid out there. I did not give him his credit for playing on hard courts.
Yeah, so you think he might hold on to that number 8 spot?
Yeah, based on how he played at the Open, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if FAA continues this momentum, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'd like to see Draper healthy again. That was disappointing. Kind of threw
Yeah.
the bracket challenge into a flux, huh?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. How about bet of the week? I feel like there aren't really any bets this week, so I didn't have one. Do
No,
you?
yeah, I did not have a bet of the week either. I There might be a challenger going on or like an ITF futures
Yeah,
event,
exactly.
but
I don't think
I'm
we're
not.
making bets on futures
Yeah,
events.
I would get real degenerate if
Yeah, I
I
was
was
about to
doing
say
that.
the lower down you get, it's like you don't know any of these guys.
Yeah,
Like,
and I feel like that's where the match fixing becomes a real issue, which I know a lot of guys who are ranked outside, top few hundred will engage in that because that's how they make a living. It's crazy.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Jesus, that's crazy. I mean,
Yeah, no, people have
I
been
hope
banned from
not.
the sport. Yeah.
I know they do, but like, I hope it's not a common thing.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just spewing BS.
Yeah, you're like this guy. He actually has been playing really well, so we're gonna talk to him. He's gonna have great odds against this guy, and we're just gonna get it fixed.
Yeah. All right. Well, how about match of the week?
I'm gonna just go with the final. I think just
Yeah.
because like it's you have so much hype going into it, and I think it's just the highest quality of tennis. Like this wasn't the closest match, especially between these two guys that we've had, but it's still just like such high quality tennis that it's must watch.
Yeah, it was electric. Even though the scoreline didn't reflect it, like I still had a great time watching and just the pure power on both of these guys is insane.
Yeah, and there's still like a lot of exciting points and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And it makes you wonder, like, if this is what we saw from them now, like imagine 2, 3 years, like when they're
Yeah,
even better.
yeah. Will they get? That's another question though. Will they
Yeah.
get even better, or like will they start to stagnate?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like as long as they're pushing each other, like for example, Sinner, I think Sinner has more room for improvement. I think Alcaraz, he has the like the natural talent, the natural ability. So I think he's able to adapt more. But if Sinner doesn't play up to it, I think Alcaraz just keeps like that minor advantage over him.
Yeah, I mean it's weird. Like you look at the head to head now, it's like Alcaraz is continuing to pull away.
Yeah. All right, and that's the show. If you're not already subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Painting Lines Podcast. Feel free to shoot us a DM or email us any questions or thoughts at paintinglinespodcast@gmail.com.